3 bullies cornered Jamal behind the gym, expecting fear. 12 seconds later, one was down. The others backed off, shaken. But what they didn't realize was that Jamal wasn't just fighting them. He was fighting the silence, the system, and the story they were trying to write for him. When Jamal Carter walked through the front doors of Ridgeway High, nobody looked twice. No welcome, no whispers. Just the sound of footsteps and lockers slamming shut. He wasn't expecting much. He'd transferred in halfway through the year. His hoodie was faded. His backpack was worn. And he moved with the kind of silence you don't learn in classrooms. The kind you carry from Detroit. He didn't try to be invisible. He just learned it was safer that way. He'd read enough rooms to know when to speak, and when silence could save you. That Monday was cold. Slush lined the sidewalks. The bell rang sharp through the halls. At his locker, Jamal paused. Watched the sea of faces rush past. All of them loud, confident, like they owned the air around them. He wasn't scared. He just knew the routine. Find your classes. Keep your head down. Don't make waves. First period math. He walked in quietly. A few heads turned. A girl near the window whispered something behind her hand. The teacher barely glanced up. Just pointed toward a seat in the back. No introduction, no curiosity, just silence. But silence didn't bother him. Back in Detroit, silence meant safety. Meant you might make it to the bus stop without being noticed. He didn't wear flashy sneakers, didn't brag, didn't need to. His uncle called it moving invisible. It was a survival skill. And Ridgeway wasn't Detroit. It was polished. The kids wore fresh Jordans, talked with volume, moved like the world owed them space. No one said anything to Jamal directly, but he noticed the way some kids looked at his shoes or wrinkled their noses at his hoodie. By day 3, he was used to the quiet stares. He ate lunch alone, corner table near the trash bins, tray of spaghetti, a banana, and a small carton of chocolate milk. He chewed slowly, eyes watching, ears open, and then the laugh. "Yo, what is that? You bring that from home?" Jamal looked up. A tall white boy in a varsity jacket was standing a few feet away, smirk in place, posture wide. That was Ryan Ellis, football co-captain, star tight end, and self-declared king of Ridgeway. 2 guys flanked him, one short with a buzz cut, the other chewing gum like it owed him money. Jamal didn't answer. Ryan grinned. "Man's eating like it's the Great Depression." The line hit its mark. A few tables nearby chuckled. Not all, but enough. Still, Jamal said nothing. Eyes down, mouth full. He didn't want trouble, not now. The short guy leaned in closer. "You hear me, man? You deaf or just slow?" Jamal looked up, just for a second. Then he blinked, picked up his milk, stood up. "I'm done." No insult, no anger, just walked away. Left his tray behind and slipped out toward the hallway. It should have ended there, but it didn't. Later that afternoon, his books were knocked off his desk in science class. No one saw it. No one claimed it. And after school, someone wrote "charity case" in dry erase marker across his locker. It wiped off fast, but it left a mark anyway. That night, Jamal took the number. 12 bus to the edge of town, to a small gym tucked behind a tire shop. Inside, the smell of sweat and leather hit before the door even closed. Uncle Ray was wrapping someone's hands, looked up as Jamal walked in. "You all right?" Jamal shrugged. "Just school." Ray didn't press, just nodded toward the mat. "Let it out." Jamal didn't speak, just changed, stepped onto the mat, and hit the pads like they owed him something. Hooks, counters, footwork, all clean, all focused. He didn't need to prove anything, he just needed to remember that control was power, that his silence wasn't weakness, that real strength didn't roar. But one dumb moment in a cafeteria was about to light a fuse he didn't mean to spark. It should have been over. Just a dumb joke, a cafeteria jab. But for Ryan Ellis, it wasn't the joke that bothered him. It was Jamal's reaction. Or lack of one. Jamal hadn't flinched, hadn't fired back, hadn't even looked scared. He just walked away. And for a guy like Ryan, who fed off reactions, that was a problem. By Friday, Jamal's name was echoing through locker rooms. The new kid's got an attitude, someone said. Doesn't talk, just stares, someone else added. They said it like that made him dangerous. In gym class, Coach Johnson called out the pairings for basketball drills. Jamal didn't blink when he heard his name paired with Ryan. He walked over without hesitation. Ryan tossed the ball a little too hard. It smacked Jamal in the chest. "Come on, Carter. Show me what you got." Jamal bounced it once, twice. "We just passing, right?" "Yeah, just passing." Ryan tried to play casual, but Jamal's pass came back fast, crisp, clean, and dead center to Ryan's chest. It echoed in the gym. Ryan blinked. A couple of the other guys snickered. Someone muttered, "Dang." Ryan forced a tight smile. "All right. Cool." But that was the moment he decided. He didn't like Jamal. And after that, it got petty. Snide remarks in the hallway, a piece of gum stuck deep in Jamal's locker vents. Once, someone accidentally bumped into him near the vending machines. Another time, his backpack zipper was half opened when he turned around. But Jamal didn't react, didn't snitch, didn't even change his pace, just kept moving, quiet, steady. But at Ridgeway, silence like that was gasoline. And Ryan, he had a lighter. Lunchtime turned into theater. Ryan would shout loud jokes across the room. "You from Detroit, right? What's the dress code there? Bulletproof vests or hoodies?" The table laughed. Not everyone, but enough. Some kids looked uncomfortable. Some whispered. But no one said a word. Jamal just stared at his sandwich. One of Ryan's boys, Logan, leaned over, eyes narrowed. "Dude, I think he might actually be crazy. Doesn't even blink." "He's not crazy," Ryan said loud enough for the nearby tables to hear. "He's just another hood story waiting to happen." That one got under Jamal's skin. He felt his jaw tense, felt the weight in his chest grow hot. After school, he moved faster toward the bus stop. He knew how things escalated. He'd seen it, lived around it. But this felt personal. That night at home, Uncle Ray noticed right away. "You holding something back?" he asked, setting down his coffee mug. Jamal nodded slowly. Ray didn't rush him. "Sometimes holding back's harder than swinging," he said. "You know what I mean." "Yeah. You're not there to teach anyone a lesson. You're there to graduate, to build something." "I know." Ray studied him for a long moment, then added quietly, "But if someone backs you into a corner, you don't let him walk over you either." Jamal didn't answer. He didn't need to. By Monday, the rumors had evolved. Now, people whispered that Jamal had a record, that he'd been kicked out of his last school, that he'd once fought a teacher in 8th grade. None of it was true. But in the right hallway, truth was whatever people repeated enough times. In history class, Ryan leaned over from behind. "You ever seen a real fight, Carter?" Jamal didn't turn. "Yeah. I mean, up close, not movie stuff. Blood on the floor kind." Jamal finally looked over his shoulder. His voice was calm. "You don't want that kind." Ryan smirked. "Is that a threat?" Jamal didn't blink. It's a warning. That wiped a little of the grin off Ryan's face, but the next day, Ryan made a decision. He waited for Jamal outside the gym after sixth period. Jamal had his headphones in, walking slow toward the back lot where the late buses waited. Ryan and two of his boys, Logan and Ty, followed quietly. "Yo, Carter." Jamal turned, pulled out an earbud. "You think you're tough?" "No, you act like it." "I act like I want to be left alone." Ryan smirked. "You don't get to choose that." Jamal's shoulders stiffened. "You done?" "Not yet." The hallway noise spilled behind them, but this moment stayed frozen. What Ryan didn't know was that he wasn't pushing a quiet kid. He was pushing someone who had been trained, not to snap, but to strike. And now, he'd just taken one step too far. The next day was Friday. Cold wind cut through the Ridgeway parking lot as students rushed to their rides. Backpacks bounced, doors slammed, voices echoed. But Jamal wasn't in a hurry. He stayed behind, helping Mr. Patel, the school custodian, move a stack of old desks near the side exit. Not to impress anyone. He just didn't feel like being in the crowd. And Ryan? He'd been planning it. By the time Jamal rounded the back of the gym, the lot had mostly cleared. Just a few scattered cars. No teachers in sight. Ryan was waiting, hands in his pockets, standing near the dumpsters. Logan and Ty on either side. They looked casual, too casual, like trouble dressed in after-school silence. Jamal spotted them and kept walking. Backpack slung over one shoulder. Pace steady, face unreadable. "Hey," Ryan called. Jamal stopped, about 10 feet away. "What?" he asked, flat. "You think you're smart or something," Ryan said. "Just ignoring me every time I speak." "I didn't come here for you." Ryan stepped closer. "You didn't come here at all. You got dropped here." Jamal's eyes narrowed. "What do you want?" Logan moved to the side slowly. Ty leaned against the wall, still chewing gum. "I want to know what makes you so special," Ryan said. "You act like you're better than everyone, sitting by yourself, staring like we're beneath you." Jamal stared back, calm. "I'm minding my business." "No," Ryan snapped. "You're disrespecting mine." Jamal didn't flinch. "You got something to prove? Prove it." That's when Logan moved. Quick shove to Jamal's chest, sloppy, aggressive. No skill, just pressure. Jamal didn't swing. "Back up," he said, voice low, steady. Ryan laughed. "Go on, Logan." Logan charged again. This time, a wild punch aimed at Jamal's shoulder, but he never connected. Jamal stepped inside the swing, quick, tight, trained. One twist, one sweep. Logan hit the pavement with a loud, sharp thud. Ty opened his mouth to speak, but no words came. Jamal turned, eyes now on Ryan. "Don't!" But Ryan couldn't stop himself. He lunged, fist high, body wide, thinking size would carry him through. It didn't. Jamal ducked low, slid under the swing, pivoted his hips, smooth and fast, dropped his elbow into Ryan's ribs, not too hard, just enough to make him stagger. Ryan bent forward, coughing. Ty took a step back. "Yo, chill, man." 12 seconds. That's all it lasted. Ryan was on one knee, gasping. Logan was sitting against the dumpster, wide-eyed. Ty stood frozen, like he'd just seen a stranger flip a car. Jamal didn't gloat, didn't say a word. He just stood there, breathing steady, posture calm, hands relaxed. That's when Mr. Langford, the assistant principal, rounded the corner. His eyes locked on the scene. "What's going on here?" Ryan scrambled up fast. "He jumped us," he shouted. "He's crazy." Jamal didn't even look at him. "You serious?" he said quietly. "I didn't do anything." Langford looked between them. No blood, no bruises, just a charged stillness. But something was off, and he could feel it. "Come with me," Langford said. No yelling, no sirens, just a long walk to the office. Jamal didn't say a word. Neither did the others. In the waiting room, Jamal sat still. Logan had already called his dad. Ty stared at the floor. Ryan mumbled under his breath, "He's done. He's dead. They're gonna expel him." Jamal didn't react. Inside the principal's office, Mr. Langford folded his hands across the desk. He stared long and hard at Jamal. "Want to tell me what happened?" Jamal nodded. "Told the truth. Calm. Director. No sugarcoating." Langford listened, didn't interrupt, then leaned back in his chair. "You're lucky no one's bleeding." Jamal said nothing. "You know we have a zero-tolerance policy, right?" "I didn't start it." Langford sighed. "Doesn't matter who starts it. What matters is who finishes it." Jamal looked down at the desk, then met Langford's eyes. "Maybe you should talk to the ones who never tried to stop it." Langford blinked, just for a second. He didn't know what to say, because deep down he knew this wasn't about a fight. It was about a moment that had spiraled, and a boy who refused to be quiet anymore. By Monday morning, the whole school knew. Not just about the fight, but about Jamal. Not the truth, the version passed around in whispers and retold in locker rooms. He couldn't walk down a hallway without someone stepping aside. Not out of respect, out of caution. He wasn't the quiet new kid anymore. He was something else now, something to watch. In first period, the boy who used to sit behind him moved to a different seat. At lunch, Jamal walked in like always. Same tray, same table in the back. But now, no one dared say anything. No jokes, no looks, just silence. But that silence, it felt heavier than any insult. Across the cafeteria, Ryan was telling the story his way. "Dude's psycho," he said. "He came at us like it was a movie. Dropped Logan like Bruce Lee or something." The guys around him laughed, some out of habit, not belief. One girl raised an eyebrow. "But didn't you guys surround him?" Ryan snapped back. "Nah, we were just talking. He flipped." She didn't buy it, but she didn't argue either. In gym, Coach Rollins didn't pair Jamal with anyone, just told him to run shadow drills, no explanation, no warning, just isolation. Jamal didn't argue. After school, he didn't go to the gym, didn't put on gloves, didn't hit the pads. Instead, he took the long route home, past the corner store, through an alley he hadn't walked since he moved here. He needed space, somewhere quiet, somewhere that didn't look at him like a problem. At home, Uncle Ray was watching an old UFC fight on TV. Jamal dropped his bag at the door, slumped onto the couch. "Rough day?" Ray asked. "People act different now. You thought they'd be grateful. Number I just didn't think. They'd look at me like I'm dangerous." Ray turned off the TV. When you defend yourself and win, people see strength, and strength scares the weak, especially the loud ones. Jamal stared at the floor. "I didn't even go hard. I held back." Ray nodded. "I know you did, but they don't care, because you exposed something in that boy, and he ain't ready to live with it." Jamal looked up. "What do I do now?" "You keep your head. Remember why you're there." Jamal didn't respond, but deep down, a small part of him still wished he'd hit harder. At school, things only got weirder. A couple teachers gave him long, thoughtful looks, like they didn't know what to make of him anymore. One guidance counselor called him in for a check-in. "I just want to make sure you're adjusting," she said. "I know transferring mid-year can be hard." Jamal nodded. She smiled too tightly. "Do you ever feel angry?" He stared at her. Why? She hesitated. No reason, just checking. He got up and left before she could finish her next sentence. That night, a photo popped up on social media. A blurry shot from behind the gym. Caption, he thinks he's in a movie. Scared yet? It was posted from a burner account. Everyone knew it was Brock. The comments poured in. Yo, he dropped Logan like a sack of bricks. Don't mess with that dude. Nah, something's wrong with him. Why's he even here if he's gonna act like that? Jamal read every word. Not once, not twice. Enough times to feel the pressure rise in his chest. He wasn't ashamed of what he did. But now the story was out of his hands. The next morning, 2 security officers stood by the main entrance. They weren't usually there. In homeroom, the loudspeaker crackled. All students involved in last week's altercation are currently under review. A formal hearing will be held this Thursday. Jamal didn't react, just stared at the window. Now it was official, but the storm wasn't over. Not until Brock rewrote the script. Brock Ellis wasn't used to losing. Not on the field, not in the classroom, and definitely not in front of an audience. That fight, it bruised more than his ribs. It bruised his image. And for someone like Brock, that hurt more than any punch. So he did what people like him always do when they lose control. He lied. It started with whispers to teachers. Hey, I'm not sure I feel safe with him around. Then came the rumors. He's been kicked out of 2 schools. He broke a kid's nose in middle school. He carries a knife in his backpack. None of it true. None of it challenged. The video he posted was short, cut off right before Logan swung first. In the clip, Jamal looked calm, focused, like he was ready. And Brock? He added captions. Watch how he moves. That's not normal. Hashtags. Dogged threat to school. Shouldn't be here. The comments turned darker. He's not like us. Bet he learned that in juvie. Expel him before something worse happens. Jamal saw it all. Still, he didn't reply. Didn't defend himself. But silence? Silence has a cost, too. That Tuesday, the school called Jamal's mom. By Wednesday, a formal hearing was scheduled. It wouldn't be handled by the principal this time. This one was bigger. District office, official paperwork, a judgment. Jamal would need to appear with a parent or guardian. Uncle Ray took the day off work. The hearing room was plain, long rectangular table, fluorescent lights overhead. Walls painted in that tired pale beige that made everything feel colder. On one side sat Principal Langford, a school board member and the head of student discipline. On the other, Jamal, Uncle Ray, and a folder. That folder was full of notes. Statements Uncle Ray had made Jamal write down, just in case. Brock wasn't there, didn't need to be. His version had already made the rounds. Langford cleared his throat. We've had several concerns raised by students, faculty, and parents. It's our responsibility to determine whether Jamal Carter poses an ongoing safety threat to this school. Ray leaned forward. My nephew is not a threat. He's trained in self-defense. He didn't go looking for a fight. He tried to walk away. He gave them a warning. The board member adjusted his glasses. Is it true he has combat training? Ray didn't blink. Yes, but training doesn't mean violence. It means control. It means knowing how to not hurt someone. An assistant principal added, There's a video, but we don't see what starts the altercation. Of course you don't, Ray interrupted, because it's edited. The room went quiet. Jamal spoke for the first time. They came after me. I didn't swing first. I didn't even want to be there. The board member tapped the folder in front of him. We have reports of you being involved in an act of physical aggression." Jamal's voice didn't waver. "So, what should I have done? Let them beat me?" Silence. Ray leaned back. "This ain't just about a fight. It's about what you think my nephew is." He looked at each of them. "You saw a big, quiet black boy who defended himself, and assumed he must be the problem." Langford shifted in his seat. The board member scribbled something on his notepad. Then they dismissed the room. Said they needed more time. Outside, in the parking lot, Ray exhaled. "You did good." Jamal didn't lift his head. "Doesn't feel like it." "They heard you," Ray said. "Might not admit it, but they did." That night, Jamal didn't eat much. Sat on the back steps, stared at the sky. Everything felt upside down. He'd done the right thing. And somehow, he was still the one under fire. He wondered if there was ever a right way to exist. But the turning point, it came from someone he never expected. Thursday morning felt like fog. The air in the halls was stiff. The hearing decision hadn't been announced yet, but it didn't matter. The school had already made up its mind. Jamal wasn't a student anymore. He was a story, a rumor, a shadow people avoided. By lunch, he sat at the same back table, picked at his apple. Eyes low. That's when someone slid into the seat across from him. She didn't say hi, didn't ask to sit, just leaned in and whispered, "I saw everything." Jamal blinked. "What?" "Behind the gym. I was there. I didn't mean to be. I was sketching for a project. I stayed quiet because I didn't want to get dragged into it. But this hearing's not right. Why are you telling me now?" Her voice didn't shake. "Because if they expel you over Brock's lie, and I stay silent, I'm just as guilty. You're not messing with me. Number I already told the assistant principal. I'll be at the follow-up hearing." That night, Jamal told Ray everything. "She's going to testify." "You trust her?" "I don't know, but she sounded serious." Ray nodded. "Sometimes. The right people stay quiet until the cost of silence gets too high." Friday's hearing felt different. Delaney, quiet girl, sketchpad always in hand, sat at the far end of the table. Her voice was soft. Her hands trembled, but her words were clear. They cornered him. 3-on-1. Logan threw the first punch. Jamal told them to back off more than once. I saw it all. Even Langford stopped scribbling. "You didn't say anything until now," one board member asked. Delaney nodded. "I was scared, but that's not a good excuse." Her voice cracked just a little at the end. 15 more minutes. Then they dismissed the room again. Ray and Jamal stepped outside together. The wind was sharp. "She didn't have to do that," Jamal said. "No," Ray replied, "but she did." The decision came by email the next morning. Jamal Carter is not subject to disciplinary action. The school acknowledges evidence showing he acted in self-defense. Ray printed it, stuck it on the fridge, didn't say anything, just nodded once. But even with the hearing closed, Jamal knew it wasn't over. 2 weeks later, Jamal stood at the front of the school auditorium, not because he wanted attention, but because Mr. Rivera, his English teacher, had asked him to speak. They were closing out the semester with a student reflection program. "Talk about something that changed you," he said. "Be honest. Someone needs to hear it." So now, here, Jamal stood. Mic in hand, stage lights warm on his face, students murmuring in the crowd, unsure of what to expect. He took a breath, held it, then began. "I never thought I'd be up here, quiet. I'm not really the kind of person people expect to speak. I don't talk a lot. Not because I'm shy, but because I've learned that not everyone listens for the right reasons. A few students leaned forward. When I first came here, I didn't want trouble. I just wanted to finish school. Stay low. Keep moving. He glanced at the teachers in the front row. But some people, they don't like silence. It makes them uncomfortable. And when they feel that way, they make up stories to fill in the gaps. A pause. I got into a fight, not because I wanted to, because I was cornered, because walking away wasn't an option that day. And after that, everything changed. A few heads nodded now. Jamal kept his voice steady. People looked at me like I was dangerous, like I was just waiting to explode. And maybe that's the hardest part. When you realize someone's already made up their mind about who you are, before you even open your mouth. He swallowed. But here's what I learned. The truth doesn't always shout. Sometimes it just stands there, quiet, still, waiting for someone to stop lying loud enough to hear it. A ripple of silence moved through the room. Jamal looked down at the mic, then back up. There are kids in this room who feel like me, who've been blamed before they had a chance to explain, who've stayed quiet because every word gets twisted. He nodded slowly. To you, I want to say this. You're not broken. You're not a problem. You're not invisible, even if they treat you like you are. Keep your head. Keep your heart. Keep your story. Because one day, it's going to matter to someone who needs it more than you know. The auditorium was still. No giggles, no phones out, no side conversations, just listening, just presence. He ended with one sentence. My name is Jamal Carter, and I'm not what you assumed. Then he walked off the stage. No applause at first, just stillness. Then one clap, then another. Then the whole room stood up, not for a show, not for a performance, for something real, for someone who didn't yell to be heard, but spoke truth and let it echo.